Start streaming. So it looks like Michigan has gone blue. And when I say Michigan's gone blue, I mean let's start off with the Milky Way again. I like the Milky Way. It's a good place. It's a good place to start, and it's a good place to zoom in and zoom in. Oh, and this little spot, and yeah, somewhere on that little blue spot, there is. So what time is it in Michigan? We will soon find out once I can actually relocate myself. And it's just about sunset in Michigan. The lights are just coming on. And we are also accompanied here by probably what are some of the rarest crystals in the universe, which I'll explain shortly. But yeah, the big news is Michigan has gone blue, which means that if Nevada holds as being blue, then it's all over. And you get a real sense that it is all over for the simple reason that I've just watched Rudy Giuliani on Fox News claiming that it's all completely rigged because they're on course to win Pennsylvania. And it's all rigged, and that's why they're filing lawsuits. And why are you filing lawsuits if you think that you're winning and are about to win? It doesn't quite make sense, you know. And that's until you actually take a look at the trends. I've been mapping the trends of these three all day. In fact, it's one of my work colleagues. He predicted Michigan very early on, and the way he was doing it is you simply plot up the percentage of votes returned and the shift in the polls, and yeah, so sorry, he got Wisconsin and Michigan. So after that, Pennsylvania doesn't actually matter. Now Pennsylvania has shifted hugely over the portion of the day. They're now basically, counting mostly the city areas, which are, of course, tend to be blue. There's actually a very good chance that Pennsylvania goes for Biden as well. There's all sorts of, I was watching Donald Trump Jr. and Rudy Giuliani. You can smell that they know, and all the time that this was going on, Fox News reports that Michigan, they're declaring Michigan has gone blue, and that's basically, by the way, also I've been following all the other ones as well. All the other ones are super close. Right, so early on, Florida was a big surprise, right? Because Florida did actually shift towards Trump, and there's all sorts of questions about what did people get wrong in the polling there, and it's got to be said that the polling was not so good for these three states. They all had Biden up by like 5 points, and it looks like he's winning them by. Yeah, it's over the margin. Usually you get recounted, I think it's 1%, and they're over that. Georgia, by the way, is going to be super close. I've been following that as, it's been getting towards 100%. And you actually sort of plot up how, the votes are shifting as more and more of them are counted. And by the time it gets to 100%, it's basically an absolute toss-up in Georgia. Nevada has been looking like this all day, and I don't think anyone is greatly expecting it to change. Which, here's to the MAGA guys. Now, beyond, of course, the it is one of those things that the last time that we had this, how long how's the hangover been? Right. So I got to bed at about 6 o'clock last night, and yeah, I get the phone call at 10 o'clock, sort of saying, yeah, can we have a meeting tomorrow? And it's like, yeah, okay. So I got like 5 hours sleep plus. The nice thing is that after 5 hours, I didn't really have a hangover of any description because, yeah, that those tend to be afterwards. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, I mean, if I'm calling it now, well, actually, I don't even have to. I'll just follow Fox News's prediction at the moment, which is no, I'm not drunk at the moment. Not yet, anyway. Yeah, Fox News says that's the way that it's going, and with um, Giuliani was saying they're filing lawsuits in states where they're on paper still winning. They know. They know that basically they're going down. Yeah, Trump, you're fired. The American people have spoken. They say take the L and go home. Okay, I mean the reality is actually no. I mean remember Trump is an unindicted co-conspirator in lawsuits where virtually everyone else who was involved in those lawsuits went to jail. Like Cohen or who was the other one? Is Manafort, Paul Manafort. These people went to jail for a significant period of time, and the only reason Trump didn't go down with that is because he was president. And the thing is if he won re-election, then that means that by the time 4 more years have passed, the statute of limitations would have run out. That's not true now. So if it weren't for that, my expectation would be that you basically get the conspiracy Trump roadshow for the next 4 years, where he will go around basically just doing his rallies again. Saying that it was terribly unfair, and he actually won the election, and it was all rigged. Even though he was president at the time, and it's all QAnon's fault or something. The other thing is that whilst I don't want to reduce myself to the obnoxious gloating that we got from the Trump supporters 4 years ago, but it would be nice to see him eat a little bit of a humble pie. But the reality is, the Senate was a bit of a disaster. And so, two which I was super surprised at is, first of all, Mitch McConnell. He got re-elected. And the Republicans hold on to the Senate, which basically means absolute gridlock. I mean, if you take a look at how much gridlock there was from McConnell and the Senate with the Obama administration, then, you can basically expect nothing to happen for the next 4 years. So, I mean, the only thing that you really, really get out of this is that, they don't have an idiot in charge of the pandemic. Not that it'll greatly matter, because, Trump, of course, gets to be president till the end of the year, which means that he gets to own what happens with this wave here. This wave's going to be bad. And, is all the way back here. And, well, in fact, he can go far Fauci now. The election's over. He's still president. He can go far Fauci. There was Operation Warp Speed, which still really hasn't delivered anything. 2 years, 1/3 of the Senate's up again in 2020. Right. So yeah, I mean, there's the chance that the Senate turns around, but as it is, the only thing that you really get out of defeating Trump at the moment is you don't have Trump as president, which is kind of nice, I guess. But and it'll be a bit of a return to normalcy, which I think will be a giant sigh of relief for a load of people. And it's an interesting question, right? What do you think Trump? Let's just roll the speculation wheels here for a bit. Let's say that the Fox News speculation that Biden is on the path to victory is correct, and so what does Trump do? You have to bear in mind that prior to Trump becoming president, he was rolling out all sorts of conspiracies about Obama. And now he's rolling out all sorts of conspiracies about there's, this massive voter fraud, which there's no actual evidence for. I mean, what do you got? Someone puts in all caps, but the world needs Orange Man to laugh at. He'll still be around. And he will still have a massive devoted following, even if he's not president. Trump will resign in the next few weeks, and Pence will pardon him for all his bullshit. I will put folding money that Trump pardons himself before he leaves office. In that for him, it's he'll pardon himself before he leaves office. What is there for him to lose by doing it? Now, the thing is, that will save him from the federal investigations, the stuff where he is an unindicted co-conspirator, but it won't save him from the states. So New York, I forgot what the lawsuits New York has rolling on against Trump, but he can't pardon himself for state crimes. He can only pardon himself for federal crimes. So, Pennsylvania difference is now in the 8K range. So we can now start speculating about what exactly did Trump do wrong. Did he not tweet enough about Gamergate, or maybe? I'm not sure. What did Trump? And the thing is that for the people who really support him, the devoted core. His Twitter is an absolute basket case at the moment. Actually, before we get on to basket cases, let me show you maybe the rarest crystals in the universe, because these things are awesome. And they're not crazy expensive, but they're of a salt called imidazole. And I made them by mistake. So quite often some of the experiments that I do will have deuterated samples, which makes them like 10 times more expensive. So rather than $1 a gram, it's $100 a gram or something. But we wanted to dry it. So, obvious thing, you want to dry it? Well, we'll put it in a vacuum oven. We'll make it fairly warm. None of us really appreciated that imidazole, so a little aromatic thing, was more volatile than we suspected. So it started distilling in the vacuum oven while none of us were watching. And both the deuterated and the non-deuterated stuff started evaporating. So this is actually a mix of deuterated and non-deuterated imidazole that then condensed as crystals. So they're sublimated crystals. They were made by complete mistake. They're completely useless, but they're also awesomely pretty. I want to make some pictures of these, actually. Anyway, yeah. So those are the imidazole, the sort of quasi-deuterated imidazole crystals. Right. Biden didn't commit treason. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the thing. If Biden had been a houseplant, would he have still won? And maybe. And yeah, like I was saying, I don't see that even if he does actually go on to win, which seems likely, America's going to be gridlocked. So, but it will make for some ripe memes where Trump branded Biden the worst candidate ever, and this means that he did worse against the worst candidate ever than he actually did against Hillary Clinton. Which is like, yeah, go figure. Having watched Fox News and the fact that the Trump campaign is already looking at filing a lawsuit when they're 5 points up. Actually, let's do it on the Guardian. Yeah. No, we don't need that. Yeah, Nevada's been a 1 point lead all day long. And yeah, 50. Right, all of these states, they all started off as red this morning. And they're all kind of Rust Belt states, so you expect them all to kind of behave the same. How small are those crystals? Right, so I'm going to show you what they look like. That's what they look like. Little tiny guys. Oops, about there somewhere. So they're about... Actually, I could put... Let me put one on a dime. I'm not sure how this will look. There we go. Actually, I'm half tempted to make some art here. I need a scribe of some sort. Just give me 1 second. There we go. Art time. This is a time for happiness. Where is it? Yeah, man. Everything is always back to front and upside down, and we need to zoom all the way out. And there's your dime. And let me see if I actually make that big and in the middle. There you go. So that's the imidazole crystal on a dime. Oh, and there are some diamonds on there as well. This is probably certainly the rarest dime in the entire universe now, in that it's got these imidazole crystals and micro diamonds on it. I ought to get around to burning these sometime. Beautiful. Cool. Yeah, no expense spared. Do we have any MAGA supporters in the chat? I'm just kind of curious if they're still holding out for a Trump win here. You know, whether the Nevada has stated that they will not release any more data until tomorrow. Right, so actually that's weird. They're taking an early night then in Nevada, because if you come back to the Earth, you'll notice that, Nevada's all the way over here. It's not sunset yet in Nevada. Sunset for everyone else. Could you put them on a Euro coin? I could, but I have to get Euro coin from next door. First flat Earth president in 2024. And this is the thing. I forget whether it was it Senate? There were people confirmed in one of the races. They were actually elected politicians who were genuine vocal QAnon supporters, which is, let's be honest, as crazy as the flat earthers. So, and as I said extensively yesterday, Palin. If Palin could almost become president, anything is possible. But maybe that's what Trump did wrong. He should have kicked Biden off to the side and appointed Palin as he should have kicked Pence off to the side and appointed Palin as his running mate. That would have sorted them out. Maybe that's going to be the next layer to the QAnon conspiracy is, the votes count differently if you assume a spherical geometry rather than a flat one, because when you drop the ballots down, they go straight down rather than curving with the earth or something. Are you going to watch the Atlas launch this evening? I wasn't greatly planning to. I've always wanted to see a launch in real life, but have never got round to it. Very impressive to see in real life, but on watching the video, actually they're much more impressive these days now that they actually have cameras on. And I'll give this to Musk in terms of he gets genuine enthusiasm for his launches in a way that you just don't really see for other launches. What do you think the takeaway of the election result is? If I were, one of these political pundits who what the polls and the mainstream media don't want you to know, yada, yada, yada. The bottom line is, you take the big picture look. And where's the total voting? Right, okay. These are the swing states. I'm not even so sure it's got the macroscopic numbers, but it's about 65 million voted for one, 65 million voted for the other. Oh no, here we go. So it's a big turnout. Big turnout. It's up like 15% from the last one, but actually no, it's almost 4%. So it's 3 points out of 70, which is about 4 points out of 100. So, how come that comes out as 2 then? Am I doing that wrong? That's 3%, right? 67 versus 70. Oh, right, okay, because you've got to add the 2 together, okay. So, if you... right, okay, so 2% was the difference. Thanks for the super chat. Echo. It's 2%. And if you're just being honest, 2% almost nothing. That's one person in 25. So if you were to get 50 people into a room and say who wants this one, who wants that one, and you got a hand show of 24 versus 24 versus 26, you wouldn't actually be able to see that with the naked eye. Which this is the thing. That's almost exactly where Brexit fell down, and they're all the Brexit supporters were very adamant now that this was the British people had absolutely spoken, and this could never be undone. The reality is that this is actually fairly comparable to Brexit in many ways, in that somewhat over 50%, 60, 70% actually voted, and of those, half went one way, half went the other. So do you take the complete demographics of America, about a third don't care enough to vote. A third voted one way and a third voted the other. The only refreshing thing is you won't have to. Trump was just so draining. Is a drama merchant in the White House. Distractingly. So, I mean, basically, and did he actually do anything? What did Trump actually get done? He got the tax cuts through for the rich. Okay, he disbanded Obamacare without actually really replacing it with anything. Okay, so what? Oh, and he did the Space Force, which was basically. He took the part of the US military that deals with satellites, which was historically, I think, part of the Air Force, and he just called them the Space Force. In reality, nothing changed. There were no, as far as I know, I've not looked into it, but I mean, it's one of those things that keeping a space station running. The International Space Station is the most expensive piece of hardware anywhere. And I think it's 200 billion? Can that be right? It's an awful lot of money. And I think just to keep it up there, right? Because the thing is, it's only just above the atmosphere, so it's slowly coming down all the time because it's getting atmospheric drag. So you've got to keep thrusting it up to, or accelerating it. Have you read the Republicans that got elected as having died of COVID? Yes. I didn't actually check whether that was. It was someone in North Dakota apparently got elected even though they had died of coronavirus. And let me just check, right? That came through on the group chat I have with the folks at work, but I've got to be honest. I've not done my due diligence on that yet, and just typed it into North Dakota coronavirus. I'm sure it was, oh no, I get lots of stuff about North Corona. I think it was North Dakota, wasn't it? Let's add dyes in there as well. North Dakota Republican died of COVID-19 in October. He still won the election. Welcome to 2020. I mean, we're going to have a meme about this. Only in 2020. And that's apparently on the Washington Post, which is behind some sort of paywall-y type thing. Which I have to click to continue. Died of coronavirus early in October, just as the coronavirus was pummeling his home state of North Dakota. That did not keep the 55-year-old rancher from winning the race to become the state House representative. Well, they were saying that Giuliani was saying that there are all these dead people voting for Democrat. Well, it's better than the Republicans who actually have dead people being elected. Anyway, right, where are we at? Hey, Thunderfire, I was watching your videos for years, second year of university, and I just switched my majors to astrology and astrophysics. Astrology. Yeah, astrology, the one true science, predicts everything that conventional science can't. So yeah, actually, let's put this up on here, shall we? There you go. North Dakota Republican died of COVID-19 in October. Still won his election. Well, I guess that does make him kind of a legend, but yeah, still not so happy. He was buried. Yeah, no problem. He can still go to Congress. You could go to town with the jokes on this. That a dead congressman achieves more than the ones who are alive there or something. I don't know. Yeah, you need a little time to compose these jokes. Doing it on the spur of the moment, not so much. Anyway, yeah. So, has Pennsylvania shifted any since we've been watching? Nah, all looks pretty much... Oh, Arizona's back into toss-up territory here. I thought the other election map I had... There we go. I thought that had Arizona as fairly solidly blue, yeah. Advice for a 20-year-old back in the UK, wants to go into physics and astronomy. COVID makes it hard. If you're going back into the UK at the moment, I don't know where we're from, but it's still not known what's going to happen in the UK come the new year. I mean, it's absolutely crazy that the amount of incompetence that went into Brexit, that it's now genuinely come down to, yeah, if someone could have seen it, would be a shit show. They had sort of 3 years to basically announce that they were going to leave and leave. So we've now actually, the UK has left the European Union, and there was 1 year of grace, if you like, to hash out a deal of some sort. And three quarters of that is now gone. We're at the point now where the deal should have already been announced. And there is nothing. Absolutely nothing. And there are still loads of people who say, that's great, we'll go for no deal and everything will be fine. That's not realistic. Anthony writes, been a huge fan watching your videos since Why Do People Laugh at Creationists? I'll get back to those sometime, actually. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. I think that was Hitchens. I've been watching some more of Hitchens recently. He was an interesting guy. Trump stopped federal contractors from forcing workers to go on implicit bias training. Huge loss to social justice warriors everywhere. One thing that you got right. I mean, this is the thing. I'm not entirely sure Trump actually did anything. Basically, he's a salesman. So, his one trick was, if something goes right, you claim credit for it. And if something goes wrong, you pass the blame on to someone else. Yeah, it's an absolute one-trick pony. And, you could sort of see this sort of fairly simplistic mindset in his rallies, especially towards the end. Right? So, in the 2016 elections, where, he genuinely had some, more enthusiasm, I would say. He liked this camera angle, the long camera angle where you could see the people in stands behind him. However, now it's all completely a charade, as are all the chants that go on at these rallies. He just sits there, reads the stuff off the teleprompter. The people in the stand at the background, that stand is sort of imported in there, and there's this little sort of shoebox of people that is just enough to get the sort of locked off camera angle, and it's to sort of give the illusion that there are lots of people there who are really enthusiastic for him and all that sort of thing. So let me just see if I can actually show you what I'm talking about. Let's do a search for Trump rally. Yeah, let's just do Trump rally in pictures, images. And what you'll find is, all this sort of stuff with the people behind him. When he's not at stadiums. Let's try 2020. This is the thing. That looks. No, this is all wrong. Trump always has the people in the background for the shot. Let's try airport. Yeah, there you go. That's the sort of thing I'm talking about. Is this just this little sort of thing that's sort of put up behind him to give, these people are the wallpaper for his rallies, and it's not uncommon. You actually take a look at, there's just this one box that's actually sort of stuck behind, and I'll bet folding money that all the chants that are done all completely staged. That there are people, he pauses, and there are people sent. I mean, this was true all the way back with Palin, that you watched her speeches at different rallies, and it was always the same speech, and there were always exactly the same spontaneous crowd chants at exactly the same point. And for me, I just could never be bothered to actually go through and show it. But I'll bet folding money you play 3 of Trump's speeches, you'll get exactly the same chance at exactly the same points. And this is what I mean. There's this little shoebox that's put up behind the podium, because he likes the camera angle. And there'll be people who say, this is some huge crowd, but a huge crowd with a shoebox put up behind him. But the thing is, it's not actually as big as you might think. In the let's say the crowd size, I'm going to go. Mark one eyeball says 2,000, maybe not even that. And you take any decent-sized metropolitan area, and 2,000 is nothing. All right, I mean, this does show that you've got some enthusiasm, that people are willing to show up. But, like I was saying yesterday, saying that you've got showing that you have some very devoted fans is not the same thing as saying that you've got widespread support. Although, you have to be honest that if you take a look at the breakdown here, he does actually have widespread support. 60 million people still voted for him. But the people who were saying he has these. No, I'm not going to. Pacificam. That sounds like an ACS conference in California. I'm deeply skeptical that people will be going around for conferences next year, but we'll see how it goes. But anyway, this is kind of like saying that Jim Jones had much more enthusiasm at his services than the Catholics do. The fact that you have some very devoted followers who would genuinely vote for you if you shot someone in Fifth Avenue, not so sure that's actually a good thing, or for that matter, a good thing for democracy. Yeah. But like I was saying, there was a fill that seat. Yeah, and likewise, you are absolutely guaranteed that all the signs that they were given to hold in these stands, they were all. This is completely staged. That backdrop, the number of signs that they have and all that sort of thing. In fact, back in the day, back in the early day when it wasn't so completely staged, there were some instances where there was some guys in the background who were just like rolling their eyes when Trump went off the rails, and security came along very quick and escorted him out because freedom of speech. You've got to show complete enthusiasm if you're going to be the background for a Trump rally. And yeah. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next. How is Pennsylvania doing? Yeah, so every time I've looked at this throughout the day, it's been ticking closer and closer. That's, interestingly enough, this is down to about 1% now, and this is closing. The gap there is closing. So I get messages on the phone saying it's down to 4.9% in Pennsylvania. Incidentally, whilst I have you all here, I had a crown done the other day, and so those are my teeth. That's the mould of where the crown was done. You need a mould, and so they gave me the British teeth. Horrible things. But there you go. That's just so you can compare it to the Megalodon tooth. I can't quite see what the hell's going on here. Let me just move this on to the. There we go. Megalodon tooth versus human tooth. And there's only a factor of 20 in size or something. Not that different. Yeah, but what a time that we live in, where you can say, that's what my teeth look like. And yeah, kind of funky. GOT. So this is the interesting thing. Almost always in all of the videos where I ever even remotely touched on Trump or something, there were always people saying that, you're just bitter that you lost, and it's sheer, pure lowest common denominator stuff. And the argument would have carried a lot more weight if you'd have actually brought some facts to the argument. Instead, the best that they've got is, I think you're biased. It's like, well, even if you're right, you didn't actually counter any of the arguments that I made. So that's one thing that I think we can breathe a sigh of relief for. Someone likes my shirt. Actually, let me see if I still have the. Hold your eyes, folks. This is going to be bright, like staring it into 1,000 suns. There we go. And I feel connected. Yeah. also great for picking up a tan. Okay, so you just hate Trump. Well, yeah, that's because he's a science denialist. In fact, I don't really hate him. I just wish that he wasn't such a science denialist. Um, Thank you, Jeff, for the support. Thanks for all the support on the coronavirus and covering the election. Glad you enjoyed it. What did Trump? Oh, that's one thing that Trump did do. Oh God. Things that he can genuinely claim credit for. He took America out of the Paris Climate Accords in what was if it's not the hottest year on record, it's one of the hottest top 10 years on record. And oh yeah, that's right, he took America out of the World Health Organization. Because now when there is a novel virus in another country, America is going to get its information about this virus. How? I mean, literally, the World Health Organization is the only game in town. I mean, you can grumble that you don't like their politics as much as you want, but I mean, the simple reality is they have health information about every country on Earth and access to it that is unparalleled. America has now cut itself off from this line of information. So where are they now going to get their information about, say, for instance, the next virus? They're just going to, yeah, what's it going to do? I mean, for me, the World Health Organization, they're the only organization ever to have successfully eradicated a virus from the face of the planet. Not just any virus, the smallpox virus. And they've had a fairly decent go at getting rid of polio as well. And, it cost America almost nothing. It was, it was a few hundred, millions to tens of millions, that sort of thing. Another super chat comes in. Been a fan for a long time. Glad I inspired you to become a chemist. Because, knowing the chemistry is awesome. So it's gone from yesterday where, based just on Florida, I would have called it for Trump, to now where even Fox News says that their money is on Biden at this point. And, it's, that's not a good sign if you're holding out. And someone sends me another message. It's now down to 4.8% lead in Pennsylvania. Yeah, Fox News. It's one of the ones that I always find entertaining, actually, is these people who say they don't trust the mainstream media. They watch Fox News. And it's like, Fox News is the most mainstream media in America. They repeatedly go on about how they are the number one news source in America. For some reason, they have the most popular news source in America, but somehow it's not mainstream. Yeah, go figure. Alternative facts on Fox News. Scrub call on the Atlas V launch, which is sad, but I didn't know that much about. I didn't even know what they were launching, to be honest. But I had been otherwise preoccupied today. First with a little bit of drinking, till 6 o'clock in the morning, and then with a lot of recovery session. Actually, whilst we are on the recovery session, I got sent on Twitter this picture from Dave from EEV Blogs, which, oh, don't tell me it's gone. No, come back to me. Oh, there it is. Awesome. There we go. And the reason this is awesome, wow, this photo just taken from Earth. Yeah. So the problem that you usually get with stuff on Earth is the atmosphere. Atmosphere shimmers, and the whole of Mars in terms of angular size here is about the size of a crater on the moon. But the thing that's really cool here is you can see which way the planet is rotating. The planet is rotating this way. Right, so this is Valles Marineris. This is the longest and valley in the entire solar system. And just so you know, the Martian volcanoes, they're just over here somewhere. In fact, yeah, just about see. In fact, can I make this big? Let me see if I can make this big for you. No, I can't see my... Yeah, there we go. So you can just about see Olympus Mons coming into the field of view here. Or maybe it's one of the volcanoes. Anyway, that's a volcano there. Obviously it is. But the thing is that Mars, like most planets, as it spins, it gets cold. And when it gets cold, there's not much atmosphere there, but there is some. So stuff tends to condense over the night. And then in the morning, you get these hazes and the such like, which is what you're seeing mostly here. Now, this is the South Pole, and this is the North Pole. So these hazes that you get in the morning, they last longer in the Northern Hemisphere because, it never really gets... This is winter. This is winter in Mars. This is sort of summer in... It's summer in this region here, because the South Pole is basically pointing towards the sun. In fact, let me bring this up on Celestia. So if you take there's Uranus, there's Mars. Good. Okay, so let's go to Mars and center up on Mars. Let's also track and follow it just for shits and giggles. Zoom all the way in. And that's not quite what we're looking at. Right, so now I'm going to have to speed up time a bit. And you'll see what I mean. This is the South Pole. That's the volcanoes coming into view. Let's slow it down a bit. Actually, I need the other side. This is this huge impact crater. There we go. That's about where we're at. So this is Valles Marineris here. In fact, I could probably get these things side by side if I'm good. There we go. So yeah, Valles Marineris. And okay, it's not Olympus Mons. Olympus Mons is past these three. This is one of these three big shield volcanoes. But you'll see what I mean. The South Pole is basically pointing towards the sun. Yeah? Which means that the North Pole here is actually one huge ice cap at the moment. You just can't see it. Yeah, so this is Valles Marineris. There's Olympus Mons, this absolutely massive volcano. And so you tend to get climate that it gets cold over the night, you get frost forms, and that frost lasts longer in winter than it does in summer. So yeah, that's why this photo is awesome on so many levels. Plus, they kind of got me beaten in terms of resolution. Interestingly enough, most of the time, having this extra aperture doesn't help you. For this aperture to help you, you need the atmosphere to be absolutely rock solid. So the more detail you want to see on Mars, you need a bigger mirror, a bigger diameter to get you the better resolution. But you also need that column of air to be stable throughout the whole of the atmosphere, and that gets more challenging as your aperture gets bigger. Anyway, so yeah, let's come back to the awesome torch of liberty. And we'll leave Mars rotating. We'll leave Mars rotating there. Okay, so I think I'm going to call that quits at that. Unless anyone's got some last questions. Do we have any last questions before I wrap this up? Have you considered... Oh, a Spitting Image. Yeah, if you've not watched it yet, watch Spitting Image. It's absolutely awesome. I was somewhat skeptical whether they would be able to recapture what they did in the olden days, back in the 80s. You know, now that everyone is... spin doctors are the norm rather than the exception, and everyone has... immaculately presented public images and the such like. But even at that, Spitting Image has done an absolutely fantastic job. Go buy and go. Yeah, it looks like he's doing well. How can a president pardon himself? Well, it's never been done before. But ask yourself this simple question. Why wouldn't Trump do it? I mean, the worst thing that can happen is it gets struck down by the Supreme Court. But yeah, like I was saying, he can pardon himself for federal crimes, not for state crimes, and he's got his balls in the vice for both. So, thank you, Paul. Thank you. Oh, Glass Monster, you want to chat on Discord? Not today. Right, deuterium versus tritium. Right, so tritium, I can tell you, is lethally radioactive. I think it's like a milligram of tritium is a fatal dose. Boils water spontaneously and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I've done lots of work with deuterium. Not so much with tritium. Trump towered over Hillary. And this is the thing. If you actually take a look at the popular vote, it's not that far. I think Clinton won by 2% as well in the popular vote. I mean, this is probably going to go a bit more, but yeah, this is for me. This is the amazing thing, is that you can have someone who is as cataclysmically bad as Trump, and it still comes down to the wire, and people like Mitch McConnell still get re-elected, and people like Lindsey Graham, they're liars without shame, and they still got re-elected. Michigan goes blue. Carrots. Yeah, I've got to eat those carrots sometime. Thunderfoot for Surgeon General. Biden, will Pennsylvania, Arizona, not sure. Sad MAGA losers, yeah. Well, I think there's going to be a lot of memes about Trump takes the L. But we'll see how it goes. Yeah, down 4.5 in Pennsylvania. But if you want to see the way the wind is blowing, just know that Rudy Giuliani has already been on Fox News saying that they're filing all sorts of lawsuits in Pennsylvania. You don't file lawsuits if you expect to win, right? Not this early. So I think they expect to lose. And yeah, they're going to challenge it. But the other thing, that you can see it for yourself, right? So what you do is you take a look at Pennsylvania, and you plot up a chart of percent reported. So it's 87% reported at the moment, and you plot up the actual percents for each candidate, and you just draw a line. And what you'll see is, if you do that, is it's not looking good for Donald Trump. Ironically, not just in Pennsylvania, but it's not looking good for him in Georgia either. North Carolina is not shifted at all today. Can't tell you anything about North Carolina. Michigan has just confirmed. Well, no, he's not quite there yet. He still needs Nevada, but yeah, I think the expectation is. That's a shame. Such a terrible, terrible shame. Anyway, at that, I think I'm going to end the stream. Democrat voter fraud for presidency. For presidency, but not for Senate. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of sore losers, I think. But anyway, okay, so I wish you a very, very happy post-election day. And see you next time. Ciao.